and I knew she was itching to canter. Sensing my excitement, she needed little encouragement, and I spurred her on, ignoring Charity's frown of concern. I loved the folly. I could watch it all day. In fact, I frequently did. I loved the light, the changing colour. Early sun turned the marble a brilliant white. Evening sun bathed it in glowing red. Moonlight turned the columns ghostly silver. Should I kiss him back? We had met twice, both formally, and on both occasions he had seemed so reserved, so very distant. But perhaps that had been for appearances. Perhaps beneath that impeccably embroidered waistcoat was a heart beating with passion. I was blushing now, the banned books from the library distressingly vivid. The ground was growing steeper, the final rise before the top. This was my favourite place. In a moment I would turn round and gaze across the river mouth to the harbours below. Foss and Porthruin, two opposing towns fighting for dominion of the river mouth. I would see the jumble of stone houses rising steeply from the quaysides. Some days so clear I could see the shuttered windows, the grey slate roofs. Other days, smothered by a fog so thick they would disappear completely. Today was perfect. In the evening light I could see the masts of the ships, the church tower, the solid outline of Sir James Polcarrow's house with its sturdy walls and pointed windows. Best of all, I could see the sea, miles and miles of open sea, the clouds now gathering, the waves turning an ominous grey. Go to Cornwall? Mamma had been aghast. She never intended father to come. Buy the house and estate and become the Member of Parliament, certainly. But to expect her to go there? The thought had left her reeling. That was until she realised how very opportune it would be. My marriage was her prime concern, and to be within visiting distance of Viscount Vallenforth and his powerful father was enough to rouse her. It had taken 7 years for her to venture down here, but only 3 months to secure the engagement. Once the wedding was over, Mamma could leave this god-forsaken wind-blown wilderness and return to her beloved Richmond. Full-bellied clouds blew across the land, the folly nearly indistinguishable against the overcast sky. I could see Charity dismounting at the house below, and knew she would be anxious. Only 10 months separated us. We could not be more different, and I loved her all the more for that. Neither of us called Pendenning Hall home. It was certainly a beautiful house with perfect symmetry. All 4 aspects equal, 3 rows of 7 windows, the top windows slightly smaller than the ones below. It had the obligatory large front door, framed by a particularly ornate portico and a circular drive, large enough to please Mamma. Even the huge fountain brimming with nymphs and watery goddesses had met with her approval. Terraces stretched down either side, statues eyeing each other from across the formal gardens, but I felt no love for it. Father had owned it for 7 years. For 5 months it had been our home. For the last 11 weeks it had become our prison. How had Arbella left the house in broad daylight? Our beautiful cousin, exactly 5 months younger than me, and 5 months older than Charity. I missed her so much. For a few weeks she had filled our hearts with talk of sun-drenched turquoise seas, of blistering heat, of butterflies and hummingbirds, of vibrant flowers and exotic fruits growing in the gardens of Government House. She hated Dominica, but I thought it sounded so exciting. How could she just walk out of our house in broad daylight, plead a headache, go to her room and escape unseen? Even more puzzling, how could she know she loved a man quite so much to be prepared to give up everything? The mare hesitated and stopped. Rabbit holes were everywhere, but the ground was still firm, so I urged her on, choosing our route with care. She seemed strangely jumpy, throwing back her ears, her nostrils beginning to flare. The folly was less than 50 yards away. Viscount Vallenforth's horse tethered on the other side, but still she hesitated, ignoring my repeated commands. Slipping from the saddle, I grabbed her halter, examining her carefully for signs of injury. There was nothing.